What is up, everybody? Welcome back into Tide Talk Live on this Monday, April 3rd, as spring football is heating up in Tuscaloosa. Stacy Blackwood, Jake Thomas, and Joe Will all here with you tonight to talk about Alabama spring football and some players we're excited about, maybe some competitions that we're looking forward to over the next few weeks leading up to A-Day on April 22nd. But guys, there's a lot going on right now. Football is really here right now. It's kind of taking center stage. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about it.
Man, man. This summer can't get going quick enough. I don't want to wish the summer away for the kids, but man, I'm ready for football. After the basketball team kind of crapped the bed, a couple weeks ago, I moved on. I'm ready for football.
Yeah, I agree. Usually the gap between when the season ends and when it begins again it just seems like it takes forever. But thankfully with the basketball team, it kind of shortened the gap a little bit. But obviously,
not enough.
Yeah, disappointing end to the season. We should be playing tonight, but
I know
it is whatever. But I'm just happy for football season to get going here. We got A-Day, I think, in like 2 weeks and 5 days. But who's counting?
It's what an exciting time of year, and I think the fact that there's so many competition battles going on right now in Tuscaloosa, new coordinators. So there's a lot of new faces in the program this year, so that kind of makes it that much more exciting for us fans. So going to be a lot of fun over the next few weeks to kind of learn this team a little bit and learn a little bit more about them. Then, of course, it'll all conclude, like Joe said, on April 22nd during A-Day. So certainly excited about that. Before we get too deep, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content here on Tide Talk Live. Make sure you jump in the chat, let your thoughts be known for either position battles that you're looking forward to learning about more over spring practice, or your thoughts on the quarterback battle between Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe, and just whatever your thoughts are on this Alabama football team. We're here to discuss that, and we're excited to kind of dive into that. I guess I want to start with you guys. Look, last week the video got released from Alabama. That ridiculous throw and catch between, Jalen Milroe and Ja'Corey Brooks over Kool-Aid McKinstry. And of course, everybody was instantly reacting to that on Twitter and Facebook, and it really exploded on the internet. And I guess, Jake, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on that and kind of what that made you think about as you saw that connection between Milroe and Brooks.
Man, at first I was like, man, it's kind of hard to really see Milroe because, the first thing I was like, man, what a throw. Whoever the quarterback was, it's a perfect spiral. And got to give Kool-Aid credit. I mean, he was all over it too. It's just a perfect throw, a perfect catch, man. And then he got, digging in deeper. I was like, okay, I got to find out who threw this. And then it started leaking. And then Milroe, come out and tweeted and say, hey, why not get tagged, So I was like, my gosh, if Milroe has developed his arm and can throw the ball like that consistently on top of his running ability, this is what I've been wanting and hoping he could do, because I don't think anybody can stop a dynamic offense that Alabama was going to be bringing with him at the helm if he continues to develop.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it just seemed like when that video was released, it was a mad scramble. Everybody was trying to figure out screenshotting. And then I think Milroe posted it to his Instagram story, and I posted it to Twitter. And then he quoted the video from Alabama football saying, where's my credit? So everything we've seen so far, not just that video, but photos and other videos from practice, he's looked good. I mean, it's spring practice, so take that with a grain of salt, but he's looked good. And I think also he's been working with the first team offense, at least, like I said, it looks like from, social media, from the photos that the team's released. So that must mean that he's improved well, and Saban and the coaches have liked what they've seen so far from him. And kind of like Jake was saying, that's the one missing piece of the puzzle for him. And we know he can run the ball. We know he's incredibly athletic, but being able to consistently throw the ball for the team this year. And that video proved that he's got some pinpoint accuracy dropping the ball in there, but a lot of work to do. I think, at least from my opinion, this team this year, Quarterback is the biggest question mark, obviously, with Bryce Young leaving. But in my opinion, I think that if that position is solidified, you don't expect someone to step in and be as good as Bryce. I think that's impossible. But if Milroe can be at least average or slightly above average, I think that this team could be even better than last year's team, which is it's kind of crazy to think about. But I think
I agree. I agree 100%. And like you said, a lot of that's going to do with how well Jalen Milroe develops. From now till September when the season starts, and from the small sample size that Alabama allows everybody to see throughout spring practice, Milroe is getting the first team reps. I'm sure Simpson is also splitting those reps with him as well. But Alabama's going to let us see what they want us to see, and Milroe is the more I hate to even say the word experience. He started one game, but he is the more veteran player of the two. So Saban's gonna Simpson's gonna have to beat Milroe. Milroe's not gonna just have to. Simpson's gonna have to just take it away, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna have to go above and beyond, and he's gonna have to look. It's going to make it to where he's going to have to make the coaches say, we cannot keep him off the field. And so and if that happens, then, that's great. We want whoever's the best quarterback to play. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Dylan Lonergan. If he's the best guy, that's who I want starting. Mm-hmm. And so, but that pass was incredible. Me and Jake were talking before we started recording or before we went live about how that would be an elite throw against air. And much less against, probably the best corner in all of college football. So you couldn't ask for better coverage from Kool-Aid. Ja'Cory Brooks made an incredible catch. It had been a catch in the NFL. He got both feet down in the corner of the end zone. And I was with you guys. My first reaction was, who the heck threw that ball? Because that was unbelievable ball placement, and really only place to throw that ball for it to be caught was where Milroe put it. And like y'all guys said, if he can continue to show that type of development with his accuracy, be more consistent with his throwing, he has the arm talent as far as arm strength and being able to make all the throws, but you have to be consistently accurate, or you're not going to be able to beat the really good teams in college football. And that's what Alabama wants to do. And you talked about how the quarterback position is the biggest question mark. I agree. And we don't have to be elite at that position this year because the schedule is much more manageable. There's no going on the road to Neyland Stadium. There's no going on the road to Texas. There's no going on the road to LSU. So the schedule is much more manageable this season. You get most of your tough games at home outside of A&M and Auburn. And so you got to think that you can get by with not being quite as elite at quarterback, especially with the way that Tommy Rees and Coach Wolf kind of want to run an offense where they're a more physical, a more throwback style of offense, kind of hit you in the mouth, establish a strong running game. So you got to think that's going to help whoever does win the quarterback job.
Yeah, I agree. And one other thing I want to mention about Milroe, he's got to learn how to protect the ball. But, that's another big thing on him. So that's something else he's going to work on this spring. We already talked about his arm, but him protecting the ball, he can't be giving all three fumbles in a game, because that just spells disaster. And we saw that last year in his one start. But, I'm going to give him a little bit of the slide of the doubt because of nerves, being his first start and all that. So, but, if he works on that and continues to improve this spring, I'm with you, Stacy. I really think Ty Simpson is talented as well. I mean, all the guys on quarterback are talented, but one of them guys going to have to take it from Milroe at this point, I do believe.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think it's Milroe's job to lose, at least from what we've seen. And I think with Tommy Rees coming in and that running kind of ground and pound physical style offense, I think with Milroe's size, not that Ty Simpson isn't athletic or can't run the ball, but I think the way Milroe's builds, he kind of would be a great fit for this offense. But just excited to see some videos and photos from practice. And like we said in the beginning, excited that football is on its way back.
It's like if Milroe does win the job, you have pretty much a linebacker built
He's huge.
structure
He is
at
huge.
quarterback. So good luck trying to take him down.
Yeah, he's a load.
Yeah.
They list him at 220, and I guess that's probably right, but he looks bigger than 220.
Man.
Well, they might have had him put on, some weight for the season if presumably they're going to be running the ball and he's going to be the guy for them. I wouldn't be surprised if he's put on 5 or 10 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and Ty he's noticeably bigger this year too compared to last season, and Eli Holstein is a massive kid. I think they list him at like 6'4", 237, just a big dude at quarterback. And I think the future is bright at quarterback. Milroe is a redshirt sophomore this year. So, if he plays really well this year, if he wins the job and plays really well, you're looking at a guy who could possibly be gone after this year. So, and then you're back to another quarterback competition. You got Ty Simpson. You have the 2 freshmen this year, Dylan Lonergan and Eli Holstein. And then comes in next year Julian Sayin, who is, golly.
Man.
I mean, that dude. I remember when I first started seeing Bryce Young highlights, I'm like, my God, we got to have that guy. He is special. And the more I see of Julian Sayin, that's what I'm saying. No pun intended. That's what I'm saying as well.
Sure.
That dude is gifted, but that's a conversation for another day. The Alabama is just, the talent is not missing at quarterback. It's about experience, and it's about somebody. Jake, you mentioned it. A quarterback's got to go out and win the job, and I don't care who it is. And I know I think we all have the feeling that it's kind of Milroe's to lose because he is the elder statesman of the group, and Coach Saban is notorious for giving those older guys the benefit of the doubt and maybe giving them a little bit of a leash. But if that throw in practice last week to Ja'Cory Brooks is any sign of the things to come, watch out, because like Jake said, we know how elite he is running the football. If he can be an accurate thrower of the football, good grief. I feel sorry for defenses.
Somebody retweeted the run he had against Arkansas last year. I'm like, man, we've talked about it before, but even if he doesn't win the job outright and maybe Ty Simpson wins it, we got to have some kind of package for him because, you got to have a guy like that on the field somewhere.
I think, too, the way I look at this quarterback competition is kind of similar to the way that I look at, when Bryce Young was coming in as a freshman and we had Mac Jones, who was, who had played well in the Michigan game, but other than that, hadn't really seen the field much other than in mop-up duty. And a lot of people were saying Bryce is going to start, like Mac Jones doesn't have a chance to start. But obviously Jones had a lot of experience, more experience than Milroe. But Jones was in Milroe kind of in similar positions, unproven, and have some talented guys underneath them that are, nipping at their heels to get on the field as well. And so obviously we saw how well that worked out for Mac Jones. We don't have the receiver core that we had, or maybe, some other talent, but we still have a very talented roster. And I think Milroe is going to be put in a position to succeed.
Yeah, that's a great point. What the coaching staff does around him, or whoever the quarterback is really going to be the biggest difference in how well this Alabama team performs in 2023. And I know the quarterback gets all, they get too much credit when the offense plays well, and they take too much of the blame when they don't play well. Just kind of the nature of the beast. But how Alabama plays around either Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson, it's really going to have a lot to do with the success of the team in 2023. Brock says that he thinks Milroe will win it, but he's not counting Simpson out at all. I think we're all kind of in that boat. I still feel like that Simpson, because he is a more naturally gifted passer, that it's going to be so hard to not play him. But like I said, Milroe could definitely prove me wrong, and I don't care if he does. I just want the best guy out there, and I've seen so much of Simpson and his accuracy and that's just something that you can't. It's hard to replace a quarterback that is consistently accurate. I mean, that's what made Mac Jones so elite in 2020 was the fact that he was just, Mac's not going to wow you with an incredible arm strength or great athleticism, but his ability to put the ball where only his guy could catch it. I mean, I go back to the first start against Missouri that year when he throws the ball to Jalen Waddle right in the back of the end zone. The defensive back is all over him. I don't know if y'all guys remember the throw or not, but it was opposite hash. It was really, a great replica of what Milroe did, except it wasn't in the corner. But the ball placement was just elite, and it's so hard to defend that. There's no defense for an accurate throw. I mean, there really isn't. So, despite how athletic Milroe is, if Simpson proves to be the most accurate of the passers, I think that's who's going to be the starter. So, but it's a long way until September 2nd, and this competition is going to go, a lot longer than the April 22nd.
Right. And I want to make one point. I feel like we're beating a dead bush here, or a dead horse, but I really don't want to.
Dead bush.
That would not be very productive either.
Yeah. I don't want to, keep harping on it, but looking back at the past quarterbacks we've had, last, several years, they all the backups to whoever it was, whether it was Tua backing up Jalen and then Matt Jones backing up, Tua, and then essentially Bryce backing up, or Matt Jones, but we was outscoring opponents so much that by halftime the second string offense was getting in there. We didn't have that the past couple of years, so the development of the quarterbacks hasn't been there, it seems like. So you haven't had, you haven't been wowing and been outscoring teams by a bunch. So Milroe and Ty Simpson hasn't been on the field that much to get that experience like those past quarterbacks have.
Well, and Coach Saban, he made the comment that one of the leading factors in hiring Tommy Rees was his ability to develop quarterbacks. And so I think development at that position was critical for Coach Saban, in this offseason. And I think hiring Tommy Rees, a guy that's young, who's really made the most with what he's had at Notre Dame with his quarterbacks, I really think that was a real key hire for Coach Saban. And look, I know it wasn't, a sexy hire for Alabama, but I think Alabama fans are going to be pleasantly surprised with how well Tommy Rees does in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, you want the last word?
Yeah, I just personally, I don't want to say never, but I don't see Simpson getting on the field this year other than and mop up JD. I think Jalen Milroe is going to surprise a lot of people this year, barring injury or all the other things you can't really predict. But I think Jalen Milroe is going to have an incredible season this year, and I'm excited to see us get back to that level on offense where we're just pounding the ball down people's throats and asserting our dominance, which is something we have not seen or we didn't see too much, it seemed like, with Bill O'Brien as our offensive coordinator.
Well, Stacey, if you don't mind, you pretty much segued into something I want to get to next, and that is the offensive line. I mean, I was just looking at the roster for who could be the starters this year, and my gosh, every one of them guys are over 300 pounds. You're talking about meat eaters. You're talking about guys who's going to dominate. And that's what they want to get back to, because I think I remember seeing J.C. Latham saying how he wants to get back to that dominant offensive line presence. And these guys, I'm telling you, in this offense that Rees likes to run, they're fixing to be dominant in the trenches again.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That was really the goal. If you look at how Alabama's recruited the offensive line since Coach Wolf come to Tuscaloosa, it's about the bigger guys, the more physical players, and I really think this offensive line is going to be one of the strengths of the team in 2023. I really believe that, and I think Coach Wolf is not getting quite the credit he deserves.
Yeah.
The offensive line was absolutely atrocious in 2021. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And last year, it wasn't elite by any stretch, but it was so much better last year than it was in 2021.
Yep.
And the fact that Coach Wolf accomplished that much in just one season, really speaks volumes to what he is capable of. And now that he's got more players that kind of fit his style and what he wants to do with the guys up front, I'm really excited to see what this group looks like. And, right now, there's been different guys mixed in and out along the offensive line. But I think right now, if you had to pick a starting five, it's going to be Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, Darian Dalcourt at left guard, Seth McLaughlin at center, and Tyler Booker at right guard, and then J.C. Latham at right tackle. That's what it's looked like most of the time so far this spring. Every guy over 300 pounds, like you mentioned, Jake. And Tyler Booker, to me, the meanest dude on the team. He was the meanest dude on the team as a freshman last year. That's why he got on the field. That's why a guy like Javion Cohen decided to move on. And I'm excited to see what this group does this spring and in the fall.
Well, you guys touched on Coach Wofford, and just, I mean, you look at the success that he's had in the past. I think 2 years ago with Kentucky, he had them as like Outland Trophy semifinalists, which is an award given to the nation's best offensive line. So this is a guy that knows how to coach offensive line well. I mean, we're gonna have a lot more talent here than he had at Kentucky,
Right.
and he still was able to turn them into a very great offensive line. So last year, rough. There's no getting around it. But I think this year there's a lot to be excited about. We got some maulers. We got, J.C. Latham. I will say, I think Caden Proctor, I don't know if he'll start per se, but I think he's going to push for that starting spot, and he'll definitely see the field because that guy is massive. And that was a huge steal that we were able to grab from the Iowa Hawkeyes in this recruitment class. I know they weren't too happy about that, but I saw him at the Alabama Pro Day, just kind of walking around, and he is an absolute unit.
Yeah, I think the roster officially lists him at like 6'7", 354.
He's like 6'8". I mean,
that's ridiculous.
He's massive.
Tristan brings up something. I just want great leaders, physicality, I'm sure he means mental letdowns, and a great O-line. Yeah, I mean that's, and I think that's what Coach Saban, and I think even Jason McClellan's, I think, is on Hey Coach right now, and he talked about one of the first things he said is just getting back to the basics,
Right.
and the basics of football is being physical and playing smart, and a lot of Alabama's problems last year, despite how we all feel about Pete Golden, how we all feel about Bill O'Brien, the mental focus was not there. Too many penalties on each side of the ball really led to a lot of the downfall of the season. And I say the downfall, we lost 2 freaking games, but
I know.
I mean, we're so spoiled that we our expectations are not really realistic. But
Way up here.
but I'm with you, Tristan. I think it's time for this team to show physicality, to be mentally tough, physically tough. Punish people on the offensive line, punish people on the defensive front, and just have a team that has, like you said, great leaders. I think last year had great leaders. I'm not sure that other guys bought in the way they needed to, and you can't always blame that on leaders. It's just Alabama's not for everybody. That's just the case, and we've seen a lot of people transfer out, and I don't think anybody transferred out that's not replaceable, or that, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I think we had some great leaders last year, but we didn't have a lot of guys, a lot of rah-rah guys, a lot of guys. Bryce Young is a quiet guy. Anderson, I don't know if I'd describe him as quiet, but we haven't had, at least it seems like the last couple of years, haven't had a lot of guys that are kind of in your face. And maybe that's not necessarily all that important, but I think, if we can get a couple of guys like that this year, and then also, just discipline is the word that keeps coming back to me. The last couple of years, we've been very undisciplined, whether that be, in the receiver room, on the offensive line, penalties on defense, just a lot of bonehead mistakes that this team's made that need to be corrected, and I think will be corrected for this year. I know Saban has already come out and said that that's something they want to work on. It's something they're trying to reestablish, the Alabama culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, you kind of started seeing that, some of those rah-rah guys, some of those guys get in the faces of other players later in the season last year. I remember Helens getting into the guy's face after we gave up that touchdown against Mississippi State late in the game. He was not real happy about it. So you kind of saw some leadership being established there. But of course, now Helens is gone. So, who is going to be this next crop? So I agree, Tristan. We got to have that next guy.
I'm looking for another Damian Square.
Oh man, yeah.
That speech he gave in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what game that was before, but good grief.
I know.
And that's the Alabama way. I mean, that's what this dynasty was built on, was type of leadership, that type of accountability, which I think is a word that needs to be kind of reestablished and redefined in Tuscaloosa. And that starts with the players. I mean, each player has to take personal responsibility for how they, react to situations, how they prepare for situations. And that goes back to being a good leader, not just for the team, but for yourself, and making sure you're doing what you can do to, that most benefits the team. But physicality is important. And I think that Coach Wolf is kind of reestablishing that with the offensive line. And I'm really excited for the scrimmages coming up, and obviously for A-Day to kind of see what this team looks like. And, as we go on from that, we'll just stick on the offensive side of the ball real quick. Are there any guys outside of the players that we've kind of talked about so far on the offensive side of the football that you're kind of really excited to watch this spring? Jake, we'll start with you, buddy.
Of course, I want to see who's going to step up at a wide receiver outside of Ja'Cory Brooks, because we know what he can do. I want to see Isaiah Bond take more of a leadership role, and I feel like he's beginning to do that a little bit. I think he's had a really good practice from what I've seen, and I've seen a little bit of the two freshman running backs who come in, and they both look really good right now. So, I think if we get somebody behind McClellan to step up, give him a breather and take over a drive or two, and then find somebody on the outside to help Ja'Cory Brooks. So I think we're going to be all right.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm excited to watch Jason McClellan run the ball. Obviously, like you said, we got Richard Young coming in and Justice Hayes, two very talented five-star running backs. But I liked the way McClellan ran the ball towards the end of the year last year. I mean, overall, he had 655 yards and 7 touchdowns. So I expect him to be, well over that number this year, maybe 10 or 11 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards rushing. So I'm excited to see what he can do this year. And then also, I'm really interested to see if Jermaine Burton can take that next step. When he transferred from Georgia, a lot of people are expecting him to do well for this team. And last year, he kind of, I don't want to say it was a letdown, but kind of surprised at his numbers. And so this year, I'm hoping he can take that next step and be a leader for the receiver core. And if not, we have all these other talented young guys, like Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Malik Benson. That guy could run a route well. So
the receivers are really interesting this spring because you talked about Jermaine Burton taking the next step, and he does, but Ja'Cory Brooks does too. I mean, this is a former 5-star recruit, one of the top players coming out of high school a couple years ago. And I think both Brooks and Burton were playing their best ball at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're both going to be taking that next step this spring and really showing that they're capable of leading that receiver unit. But then Malik Benson, the guy from Hutchinson who transferred over from JUCO, that dude's just different. I mean, he is a different animal. He's a lot bigger than what I was expecting him to be. They list him at 6'1", 195, but he looks a lot bigger than that. He has remarkable route running ability, soft hands, really good speed. So I think those three players could be special for Alabama. And then you talk about the young players like Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Shaz Preston, who redshirted last year, Kendrick Law. There's so many young guys at that position that if somebody's not stepping, or if somebody gets hurt, You have plenty of depth there, but I'm excited about the wide receiver room. C.J. Dupree's coming over at tight end. Amari Niblack, how does he look in his second season in Alabama? He already looks like he's filled out a lot, put on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle since he arrived in Tuscaloosa last year. So a lot to be excited about from a weapons standpoint. And you talked about Jace McClellan. I think he's probably one of the most underrated players in the SEC, or underappreciated, I guess, is really
Yeah.
the way to word that, because he's not just a super, incredible running back, but he's a lot better than what he's given credit for. And he's really underappreciated by not just people in the SEC, but Alabama fans included. And I like him. I like Jam Miller. Justice Haynes is the only freshman that's in school right now. Richard Young is not going to be there till summer. What Justice Haynes can do this spring will be important, because he's got a leg up on Richard Young right now, being on campus and participating in the spring. So, going to be a lot of fun to see all those guys, because all those guys are going to get a lot of touches in the spring game. They'll be split up and not having to wait their turn as much in the spring game. So all those guys will get plenty of touches, and we'll kind of get to see what they all can do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited. The spring game is a couple weeks away, so we'll definitely be able to see what this team is going to be capable of next year. So
Tristan says he wants to see everybody break out. Yes, please 100%. And thank you.
Yes, yeah.
All right, defensively, guys. To me, there's one player that I just cannot wait to see.
Caleb Downs.
Yes.
Dang it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we're all on the same page.
Dude, first of all, how is that guy a freshman?
I don't know how he's a freshman, but I was just looking at a picture from the photos that released from today, and he does not look like a freshman. No. He looks like a guy that's been here for 4 years. So
I mean, he's already practicing with the first team defense. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, all indications are that he is participating with the first team defense. And we've talked about Caleb Downs on our show a lot, and
it seems like every show he works his way in there.
Well, before he ever committed to Alabama, and when Alabama started to kind of, be in the rumor mill that they were leading for him, I really took a deep dive into his film. And I remember the night I really watched his film, I called my dad and I said, "Dad, you have to watch film on a guy named Caleb Downs. He's the best high school football player I've seen since Will Anderson, and he is going to be a thing whether he plays at Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State. But I hope we get him. If we don't get anybody else in this class, I hope we get Caleb Downs." And we got him, and that dude, man, he's special, man. I don't see how he doesn't make an immediate impact for Alabama.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, you can't keep him off the field, and it looks like they're not going to. Looks like he'll be a starter, and I think that this secondary is going to be very special this year.
I do too, and while we keep it there, we know Kool-Aid's got one side of the field locked down at corner, but what do you think they're going to do with the other corner guys? I mean, they're obviously Terran Arnold is coming back. He got like 6 or 7 starts last season, so you got to think he's going to be in the mix. You got Earl Little Jr. You got Des Riggs. Mm-hmm. So what are you guys thinking on corner opposite of Kool-Aid McKinstry?
To me, that's going to be a very important position to discover and find out who's going to be that guy, because Kool-Aid's going to be a shutdown corner. So you pretty much got that guy. He's going to be getting all the action, whoever this next guy is. So I think Arnold. We talk about experience. He does have the experience, but I mean, Earl Little Jr. has looked really, really good so far from what I've seen. And like you said, Ritz is there as well. So, I think Arnold will probably end up winning it for now. And then, if injuries occur, then you'll probably see Earl Little Jr. and then Des Ritz get a shot as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Earl Little Jr. Just the way he plays very loose, has got some quick feet. I think he went to the same high school as Patrick Surtain. So anytime you see somebody come out of American Heritage, your
And he's
eyes
got
get
that
big.
link too, man. It's
Yeah,
something
Yeah.
about those
long.
guys. I mean,
Mhm.
they got like Patrick Surtain. I mean, my gosh, his arms are 6 miles long. He's like 6'2".
Yeah.
I mean, good luck throwing against that. I mean, if he just
Yeah.
sticks his arm up, he's going to knock it away. But I think either way, Earl Little's on the field somewhere. Whether that's at the
Mhm.
corner, does he could get the nod at star, and I think that maybe Taron Arnold was a safety in high school, and he moved to corner when he got to Alabama because they were kind of thin there. Plus, they had DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle at safety, so they were kind of set there, and they needed some depth at corner, and he's kind of transitioned there. And I doubt they would make him move to safety, not make him, but suggest him move to safety. This kind of late in the process, unless some injuries occur. So I'm just anxious to see what happens there because to me, it's going to be either Terrion on Arnold or Earl Little Jr. I just don't see a scenario where Earl Little Jr. is not. I think it's actually Earl Little the second. I think that's what it is
Yeah.
actually technically. I
Yeah.
keep saying Junior because that's easier, but I really think he goes by Earl Little the second.
Okay.
So trying to keep it correct here, but I just don't see how he's not on the field. He was making a lot of noise last year, but he was injured. But the coaching staff really likes him, and we know, like Joe mentioned, we know how well those St. Thomas, was it St. Thomas that where he's from,
I
or
think
is it
so. I think American Heritage is
American
the
Heritage? That's what it is.
school.
Yeah, American Heritage. We know how well those guys can play.
Yep.
David Sanders, can we see those Carver guys on the field this year? Let's see, but I'm not missing any more comments, am I? No. But in Malachi Moore, that's a guy that he bust onto the scene as a freshman. Then he's just been battling injuries, man, and I feel bad for him. But he's put on some weight. I think that indicates that he's probably going to make a move to safety, which he does have some experience in. So I think that you could look at maybe Caleb Downs and Malachi Moore as your safeties, Kool-Aid as a corner, maybe Terrion as another corner, and then Earl Little
Yeah,
as your
I agree.
star. And
Yeah.
to me, my goodness, what a defensive backfield.
That's one of the best we've had in a long time, I feel like.
I love it. I would love that grouping in the back end, and a guy that I feel bad for is Christian Story, man.
Man,
He's he's battled his way. He's been a really good player for 3 or 4 years now, but a generational talent in Caleb Downs has come in now, and it's probably gonna knocked him out of a starting spot. But man, I'm excited about the defensive backs this spring and what they can do, this season.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, linebackers. Look, Deontay Lawson's out this spring. Dallas Turner's out this spring. I don't think that means no. Neither one of them guys is going to be passed up as a starter. They're going to be starters this fall, but it does give the younger players an opportunity to gain more experience, to get more snaps. But looking at inside, we'll start at inside linebacker, guys. We all agree that when the fall rolls around, that Deontay Lawson is going to be one of the starters. But how do you guys think it's going to look this spring without Deontay Lawson at inside linebacker?
Go ahead, Joe.
A guy that I'm really interested to see maybe if he steps up is Kendrick Blackshire. I think he's a junior.
Yeah.
But so he's been here. He was a guy that got a lot of hype coming in because he was just this massive guy. I mean, just
40-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. 4-year-old in an 18-year-old's body. So I'm interested to see with the injuries what he can do. Obviously, like we said, he has the size, but I think he was injured last year too. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he can do, and hopefully he can step up and at least kind of maybe get on the field and show what he can do.
Yeah, Kendrick Blackshire, he's a physical specimen. So, we'll see how he does, and but I like Stacey said, I don't feel like Lawson or Turner's going to lose their spots for being out this spring, but having capable backups just in case injuries do happen this season is very important. So, be glad to get some of these other guys some playing time in the spring game at least.
Yeah, and look, the inside linebacker room is there's so many guys there. You bring in Tresman Marshall from Georgia, you
Mm-hmm.
bring in Justin Jefferson from junior college, two guys that you're probably expecting to contribute, or you don't bring them in.
Right.
But then, like Joe said, you got a veteran in Kendrick Blackshire. You have the young, talented guys like Sean Murphy and Jihad Campbell there. So the talent is there, the depth is there. It's going to be about how well or who has developed the most and who is showing the coaches the most this spring. And you got to feel like Marshall, with his experience at Georgia, coming over, he's going to be in the lineup some way. I would be really shocked if he's not. But to me, Justin Jefferson, I don't know if y'all had a chance to watch him. He is elite as far as his speed and his pursuit of the football. So it's going to be hard to keep him off the field as well. So it's like every position group, man. There's so many
Yeah.
dudes. I mean, I don't know. I would not want to be a coach at Alabama. I say that I would love to be a coach at Alabama, but I
Right.
would not want to be making these decisions, man. I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, you look at Jihad Campbell and Sean Murphy, they would be starting practically anywhere besides Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, they would be starting anywhere else,
Yep.
and they might not ever see the field.
Man, that's wild to think about.
But it's just crazy. And on the outside, even without Dallas Turner, you have Quindarius Robinson, Chris Braswell, Keanu Coate. Then you got, Quay Russaw, who's an early enrollee. You got Jeremiah Alexander, who's a redshirt freshman who looks like he is trimmed down to, lost 10 or 15 pounds, it looks like, and looks shredded. A guy who was a five-star prospect who the coaching staff really liked last year as a freshman, but, you wasn't going to take out, Will Anderson or Dallas Turner
No.
or Chris Braswell to put him in. So a guy who could make an impact this year. And I'm excited to kind of see what the outside linebackers look like and how we play the outside linebackers without Pete Golden this year. Does Kevin Steele drop Dallas Turner into coverage 57,000
Oh
times
my
this year?
God. I hope not. Please don't do it, Kevin
Good
Steele.
Lord.
I don't think he will.
No. I mean,
I think I had a what they call a conniption fit every time I saw Dallas Turner or Will Anderson drop into coverage.
yeah, I'm like, those guys are bred to rush quarterbacks.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they were born to attack the football.
Right. Not dropping the coverage.
Good grief! I mean that. I don't even know what to say about that.
I know. Yeah. You can't say much of anything. So,
Hey, on the defensive line, I've been noticing that James Smith is beginning a lot of reps with guys like Tim Smith and Jaheim Otis in the first unit. So, look, he was a five-star guy from Carver.
yeah.
And I just feel like, and first of all, that dude has trimmed down as well.
Mm-hmm.
He got to Alabama probably around 320, and I'm willing to bet he's about 300 or 305 right now. And if that dude plays at that weight, he is going to be a menace. He's a guy that Alabama's not had over the last few years who can really disrupt the backfield like a Quentin Williams or a Jonathan Allen because he's quick, he's powerful, and I'm excited to see what he can do not only this spring but this fall because I think he's in for a special career.
Yeah, I'm excited about the defensive line. We like you said, says we haven't had that guy since like Q Williams, but Phil Mathis did his job. He was really, really well, but last year's team just didn't have that guy, and that kind of hurt. But I've been high on Jaheim Otis since he come on the campus, and last year to this year, this offseason, he has dropped 20 more pounds. And I mean, I think they got him listed at 30.
I think it's 100 pounds too.
Yeah,
he's
100 pounds.
lost
total.
100 pounds. They want him to gain about 10 more pounds too. He's at 320, but they're wanting him to play at around 330.
Right. So
He's actually lost too much weight.
yeah, but I think he can be disruptive as well. So if you got James Smith and Otis on that front line just wreaking havoc
You know, and
it's
what's
in trouble.
what's great, Jake, is guys like Tim Smith, Jamil Burrows, Jamarian Latham, Justin Aboybe, they've all shown flashes of being really good players. So
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a good mix of quality depth, you know, and layered in there, there's a couple of guys that can really be difference makers. So I'm really excited to see those guys.
Yeah.
See, Tristan says we need to send waves of D linemen in if everyone develops right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're going to see some
Different packages.
different packages of defensive line this year, kind of depending on you know what we're trying to do and what we're trying to defend and what the opposing offense is doing. I'm right there with you, Tristan. And Tristan, thanks for being alive in the chat tonight, man.
Yeah. Thank you,
And same to David and whoever else has been in here.
Mr.
Brock.
ODR and Brock. So, but is this the deepest Alabama's been? I know it's been probably the deepest we've been since, in a while, but it's. I mean, this team is loaded.
Well,
with
the
talent.
2023 class was, I mean, ridiculous,
Yeah.
and
Best class ever.
it
A lot
is,
of
and
people
and
said.
and 26. We have 26 newcomers here this spring, so that at this point of the year, it feels like the deepest that we've been because usually in the spring you're still waiting on 10 to 15 guys to show up on campus. That's not the case. I think there's like what three more. See, Richard Young. Who else? There's like three or four guys that didn't show up from this class. So we have a lot more players there this spring than what we're used to having, and it makes for a more exciting spring. That means the spring game is going to be more competitive. There's going to be more
Yes.
elite talent on the field than what is normally the case. So, man, I cannot wait, guys.
Yeah.
Football is back.
Just around the corner.
It really is,
Man.
and I'm excited about it.
Elijah Ford. Good question.
All right, Jake, you go ahead and start that. We'll go round table. We'll go Jake, Joe, and then I'll take it last.
Right now, I think it's McClellan because he's got experience and he can be explosive. We've seen what he can do at times. I mean, in a perfect world, that run last year to that touchdown run against Texas should have blew that game wide open, but we knew what happened. But he's got that explosive abilities. But as of right now, it's him. I do think Haynes and Young are both going to be really, really special though when their time comes.
Yeah, same thing for me. I think it's McClellan, but I think who has the most upside, most potential to be the next star running back at Alabama would be Justice Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, if you mean best, like, do you mean like the most?
Currently the best, or yeah.
Do you mean like the most gifted runner, or do you mean the guy who gives us the best chance to win right now? Like, I think Jace is right now the number one guy, but Jam Miller to me
Yeah.
is more gifted naturally running the football than what Jason McClellan is. I think Justice Haynes has the most upside, like Joe mentioned, out of all the backs. So, and where does that leave Roydell Williams? I think Roydell is not going to get lost, so to speak, but his role is going to be very limited this year, just because we have Jace, and then you have guys with ability that's just superior to Roydell Williams and Jamarian Miller and Justice Haynes. And to me, I think right now the best because Elijah down here says the best all around player. I mean, all around to me, if you're talking about talent, it's Justice Haynes
Without a doubt.
or Jam Miller. But the guy who I trust with the ball the most right now is Jace McClellan. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
The guy I trust the most right now is Jace. The guys who I think have the highest upside, who are the most naturally gifted runners, that's Jamarian Miller and Justice Haynes.
I agree 100%. Oh, somebody's getting a phone call.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Casey's phone's blowing up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's this team. I'm just excited for the season to get here, and I feel like this unit's going to be special. Whether it's it's a Miller led team or a Ty Simpson led team, this team is going to make people remember who Alabama used to be, and that is physical, be a dominant run team, and just absolutely just wear you down, from the first quarter down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Tristan, we talked about Milroe and Ty at the very beginning of the show, and we're all very high on Ty Simpson. And I think I'm alone on the panel here with the feeling that Ty eventually wins the job, and it really has nothing to do with Milroe. It has more to do with, I think, that Ty is a special talent, but I'm just all about the guy who gives Alabama the best chance to winning the job, and but we're all really high on Ty. We all think he's a really good player and has a bright future. I'm just a little higher on him than what Jake and Joe are at this time. But thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Tristan says he is a Ty guy himself.
Well, we've talked about it before. The thing about it is, whether it is Milroe or Ty, Saban's going to put the best one out there to give us a chance to win. So, and we'll see who that is. I mean, we still got a whole summer for camps and then a fall camp before practice. So,
I mean, unless either Milroe or Simpson look like Tom Brady this spring, this job is not going to be decided until September 2nd, or even maybe even after that. I mean, this is going to go all throughout the summer. It's going to go all throughout fall camp. It's probably going to go into Middle Tennessee State. They're probably not going to name a starter for the Texas game in week 2 because it just works to your advantage if you're Coach Saban. So it would just kind of be only hurting himself if he said, yeah, Jalen Milroe's our guy, or yeah, Ty Simpson's our guy. So this is a competition that's going to be going on all the way through the summer, through fall camp, and probably into the first couple of weeks of the season.
I agree.
Me too.
All right. Any more questions before we wrap this up? Spring football talk, guys. Man, I'm glad it's here. Super excited about it. Cannot wait for the spring game. Going to be a lot of fun. They practice today. They're going to practice on Wednesday. They'll have a closed scrimmage on Friday. They'll practice again 2 days next week. Have another scrimmage on next Saturday, the 15th, and then the next week they'll practice a couple days, and then the A-Day game will be the 22nd. So we're like 40% done with spring ball already.
Wow,
which is crazy.
It is. Oof, it's wild.
All right, guys. Well, hey, it's been a great show. Been a lot of fun interacting with everybody in the live chat and talking some spring football. Football is king in Alabama. We all love, all the Alabama athletics, but football is definitely king around here, and we're excited that it is back. If you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and jump in the comments if you didn't have a chance to watch it live, and let us know your thoughts on who's going to win the quarterback job or in any other position battles that you're kind of looking forward to this spring. Also, jump in the links in the description below for BetUS and Latorn watches, and make sure you take advantage of those deals that we have with those guys there as well. But guys, I really enjoyed it. I hope we can get together again real soon. Maybe Coach Saban will speak. I think he'll speak Wednesday of this week to the media. Mm-hmm. So we're likely to get some more information after that. So maybe we can get back on here again later this week to kind of discuss some more spring football with you guys. But that's going to wrap this show up. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. For Jake, Joe, and Stacy, this has been Tide Talk Live. And until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.